Hey, Mini-Me. Oh, sorry. I know I'm not supposed to be on the screen at the same time as you because we only have one voice actor, but we have a bit of a situation. I don't know what to do for this week's YouTube video. I know. I'm sorry. Can you just grab me with the whips from the attic that I can do in like a couple days? Yeah, just grab the first one you see. Thank you. Ah, you're back. Took you forever. What did you find then? I guess you can't tell me, my bad. Oh, an undesigned OC. This is perfect for the YouTube channel. Alright, little guy, what's your name? If you're anything like me, you have a billion OCs waiting in the wings that you either draw all the time, or you write about, or you just ignore and shove into the closet until you remember they exist again, and then you get hyperfixated on them. Is that just me? Oh, okay. Today we're going to be meeting one of my newest OCs. This is Dallas Cassidy Ritter. Well, this terrible outline of a man is. I didn't end up going with this for the end. I don't know what I was doing here. I was really struggling with artblock, and I was using a new digital brush set. I will link it in the description. It's by Jazza. Please go check him out and maybe buy his brush, and I'll link why. But anyways, back to Dallas. Dallas Cassidy Ritter. He is the main character for a story I'm working on in my free time. It is not a book. Well, it is a book, there are chapters, but I write them more out of like entertainment. I'm not really writing them planning on publishing them anywhere. In fact, I wasn't even thinking of making a video on Dallas until I realized that I was completely stumped for a video idea this week. Usually when I go into a story, I have a pretty good idea of who I want the protagonist to be. I don't usually have a problem with character design or personality because I really love making characters. Dallas, on the other hand, I designed his character as kind of like an afterthought. I had the idea for, oh, protagonist does XYZ in a cowboy story, but I didn't actually think of Dallas as a character until I realized I can't just call our protagonist, right? I need to give him personality. I need to make him like entertaining. And I just had the hardest time envisioning how I wanted him to look. And I have been putting this off for months because I came up with this character, I think like either a couple months or last year. I really want to stress how little I had in mind for this guy. My description for him is blonde. And when I say blonde, I wanted him to be a brunette for a little while until I got talked into leaving him blonde because it matched his personality better. That's how much I really didn't have anything going for this guy, but I knew I wanted to have his hair be kind of shoulder length, a bit above it. Is that short hair or long hair for guys? I can't tell. I wanted his hair to be around shoulder length and straight. I didn't want his hair to be bushy, I wanted it to be straighter. So looking at the original sketch, I realized I made him way too playboy for my taste. He looks like he would try to spend most of his time flirting with women, and he is a married man in my story. Now, if you want some advice on how to make your OCs, like how to make them a good character and how to actually like them, I do suggest working on their personality a little bit before you jump into a character design. And that's what I did in the span of drawing those first couple frames where I didn't like him to drawing him at this point where he looks a lot better. I worked on his personality a little bit more. I talked it over with a friend, and I kind of got a bit more lore down for him. One of the things that really helps me connect to a character is lore. So, a bit of lore for Dallas. He grew up moving from place to place. His dad was a wandering craftsman. I haven't decided exactly what, maybe like a carpenter or a blacksmith of some sort. But his dad moved around a lot, and he in turn moved around a lot too. His whole family did. Dallas never really knew where he was going to sleep at that night, and if he would even have a dry bed, a good breakfast. He hated it. He never really connected with the outdoorsy stuff. He would have rather loved to grow up living in a town. The eyebrows. But before we continue, I want to talk about the texture of these brushes. They're really nice. I love them. But at this one point, I was trying to color in his hair and I thought it was looking different with each brush stroke. And I was like, whoa, is this color theory in the wild? No, it was just a weird texture with the brush that made it turn into a different paint. Moving on, where was I? Oh, yeah. One day, when Dallas was around 13 years old, his parents drowned in a freak accident on a river. And Dallas was found by the sheriff of the nearby town of Verity Creek. Since no one could get a hold of his family members, if he even had any of her family members, the sheriff who found him decided to adopt him. This sheriff's name is Abner Beckett, and Abner Beckett happened to also own the town's livery stable. If you don't know what a livery stable is, it's basically like a parking lot for horses, where you would dock your horses for a small fee. Abner, being an older sheriff and only having a couple employees on his ranch to help him anyways, needed all the help he could get. So he raises Dallas as his own and has him come on as one of the employees. And Dallas loves it. He was made for horse work. He loves horses and he just excels at this life. Seeing how good Dallas does with horses, it's not long until he's given a horse of his own. A young filly who he names Josephine, or shortens it to Joey. And because he raised her from when she was a foal, Joey and Dallas have an insanely special connection. He is basically the horse girl stereotype too. And upon working on him and Joey, I did realize that I wanted him not just to be like, this is his favorite horse, this is his loyal horse. I wanted him specifically to be a horse whisperer of sorts. If you have a horse problem, go to Dallas. He will fix it straight up for you. And I kind of wanted that to play into more of his personality, and that also helped me with how I wanted him to present himself, I guess. So already I'm making a lot of progress with Dallas's lore. I'm figuring out who I want him to be before the story took place. But I still haven't said much about his personality. So looking at all of this, I really wanted him to be kind of your classic hothead. He's arrogant, and like I wrote in the corner, he's arrogant but a little insecure about his anxiety. And when I say anxiety, I'm referring to the fact that he gets scared easily in the story. Not scared as in like he's always jumping at every little sound he hears. No, he's pretty brave in that sense of the word. But if he is in a true life or death situation where he knows that something is about to happen that's extremely dangerous and he needs to act quickly, he will panic. He will stop and overthink everything, which is seriously not helpful when you're a cowboy and you work with a bunch of horses on a ranch in the middle of nowhere. Because of this flaw, this crippling paralysis that overtakes him in these life or death moments, I want him to play it up more. I want him to pretend he doesn't have this. So I gave him the personality traits of being arrogant and cocky as a way to subvert that expectation. He knows people will be looking at him and his reactions, so he's gonna overplay everything to make himself seem bigger. And more stuff about him is that he seriously doesn't like traveling. And I wanted this also to play into that anxiety. It may come from the fact that he had to move around so much as a child. He didn't like going places at all as a child. Like I said at the beginning when I talked about his lore, he would have rather stayed home in a normal town and gone to a normal school instead of moving from place to place every other day. So whenever it comes to us thinking about moving away or going somewhere, he freezes up a little and he'll put it off. And I took a page off the show Around the World in 80 Days. If you've seen it, it's a great movie. Please go watch it. I'm gonna say a little bit about the character here. I'm gonna like overanalyze him. Phileas Fogg. Now, Mr. Fogg is the main character of Around the World in 80 Days. And his, I guess, defining flaw is that he is placid. He really likes staying the same. And he longs for adventure, but he doesn't want change. And it's a whole big thing in the movie. But I also wanted to pull from that personality a little bit and give it to Dallas. So he's content to live out his life in the safety of his town. But sadly for Dallas, he didn't take into account that he is the protagonist of this story, and protagonists never get what they want. And this is going a little bit into his storyline. I won't say much here, but if you are interested in what I do share, give this video a thumbs up and hit follow, and I will consider gracing you all with more lore drops about Dallas and his storyline. But for now, I'm going to give a very vague description of what happens in his story. And spoiler warning, if you know me and I haven't told you this plot, by the way. If you've ever seen The Count of Monte Cristo, I lean into that a lot because I love that movie, but I will have to draw that and talk about that in another video. Dallas is basically charged for a crime he didn't commit. And because of insert spoiler here, he isn't able to explain to his adopted sheriff father that he's innocent. He's chased out of town and is forced to go into hiding. And lucky for him, the priest happens to be stopping by. In perfect outlaw manner, he ends up stealing the priest's coat and hat. Now he's on the run, and he's pretending to be a circuit rider preacher. Circuit riders were preachers who would go from town to town preaching sermons and doing the normal religious leader jobs in a county, or what they called a circuit. And because Dallas has really never left Verity before, he can easily get away with saying he's just the newest in a long line of circuit riders, and everyone believes him. Only issue, he isn't religious and he can't read. He can't read well. And of course, a lot of this stuff was coming up as I was working on him, but I had this idea of a man on the run pretending to be a preacher to hide from his crimes. And I wanted to kind of flip it on its head from the normal idea of what the preacher would be, because usually, from what I've heard, the stereotype is that the preacher is in hiding, but he was a really intense fighter. He's great at everything. Dallas is not that. Dallas is none of that stuff. If I'm being perfectly honest, Dallas is a weakling. You would not want Dallas on your team. He's not really good. Like I said, he would freeze up in really important circumstances. But that is as spoiler-free as I can go at this moment. And I really love it, and I'm like obsessed. For the outfits, I did do basically 3 iterations of what I want him to wear. Because he's an outlaw, I kind of want his wardrobe to be really restricted. If this was any other character, I would probably give them a couple outfits that had different undershirts, but everything Dallas wears is built off the first layer. He has a working outfit with a yellow bandana from a different character who I will get into. He has just a vest and a white handkerchief around his neck. The vest is also a gift from another character. I don't have enough time to get into it now, but that outfit would be his normal going around town outfit. And his disguise outfit, of course, is that fake preacher outfit. And if he buttons up the vest properly, that white handkerchief would look like their white color. I don't know much about their outfits, but I thought it would be funny if he was trying to fake the look of the white collar with his handkerchief. I don't know if that's actually what they used, though. Another trick I've learned about making characters more relatable is doing a what's in his bag. What's in their bags can really help. It's just a little thought process of what's in the character's bag and how does that relate to their personality. Funny enough, though, because of the story, I wanted him to be severely inconvenienced in every way possible, probably because I don't like him so much. But I decided that he was going to have the wrong bag because, you know, you're being hunted by the law. You grab the first bag you see. You thought it was yours. It was dark. It's a saddlebag. Surely it's yours. Turns out it's not. But it turns out it wasn't his bag. It was another character's bag. And there are a lot of other characters. I know I have to get into them, but I don't really have time in this video. In this bag, though, I wanted to give a bit of characterization because this is his fiance's bag. So her initials are DB for Dina Beckett. And if that sounds familiar, it's because his adopted father figure is also her dad. So a lot of these objects are kind of similar to him and have something to do with him anyways. I'm not planning on having Dallas be religious. Again, I'm still debating if I even want him to know how to read, but I did want him to have the Bible on him, and this is actually Dina's Bible that she keeps for a very different reason. She also has her bandana, and they're a bright yellow or pale yellow color, And this is why I showed her bandana earlier on Dallas. I feel like they would share bandanas because, you know, they are fiancés. So I figured it'd be kind of sweet. And then there's a money bag. And of course, I had to have an empty money bag because it's come on, it had to have an empty money bag. He can't have money. He's a fugitive. I also have a hunting knife and spurs, his peacemaker, which only has 10 bullets left, and a handkerchief. Those are all objects that he had on him when he ran away. Everything else is from Dina's bag. Now, I'm still thinking about what I want in Dina's bag. I might add a couple items to this later on if the story calls for them. But because I was kind of running out of room on the page, I was also content just to have her have a couple of items that you would use as a ranch hand. Because Dina does work as a ranch hand for her father. Because, it's, you know, it's the Wild West. They didn't have a lot of money to hire out more ranch hands. Dina also has a water satchel and a spare rope to wrangle the horses, obviously. And finally, last but not least, you can see a small photograph of the two of them together in the corner. I made sure to color correct this. I also adore drawing photographs now because they are so fun to do. Also, by the way, this is like the second photograph I've doodled in a couple days, and I love doing them because the color correction was so fun. I figured this would be kind of a nice way to see, like, these are the objects he has at hand, and a couple more personalized objects. Even if they are Dina's, I feel like it definitely speaks to him. But I would really like to give him a couple more objects, maybe a hobby or something. It was a really nice way to plan out what the character has realistically at his disposal on his grand adventure. So here's the finished result. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about Dallas and his quirky personality. Trust me, this video took me a long time to make because Dallas is just so I do not connect with him as a character as much as I do other characters in his story. But I figured Dallas is my protagonist. I need to give him a proper shot. Hopefully, all of that can make me like him a bit more. I hope this video was very entertaining for you and maybe inspired you to get over your own art block with your own protagonist character. Now, if you liked the content that you saw out of this video, please like it, or so I know to continue this series. Maybe I'll introduce you to a couple more characters in Dallas's world. So please like this video. Tell me in the comments if you would like me to do a sequel video to this. Leave any questions you have about the character in the comments. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can find out when I post more about Dallas's world. I need to come up with a name for this universe. But you'll be able to meet more of the characters. Bye!